Good if you're not boating into work. Thursday here on the main event. Woo-wee, it was a chore getting in here from the East Valley this morning, but I made it. And I'm your humble host, Stephen McCollum, and you know him as 17-year NFL veteran, 3-time Super Bowl champion for your Dallas Cowboys. And he's just an all-around good guy, and he hasn't been punked today. Dale Hillestray, everybody.
Haven't been punked today? Not yet.
Not like Hurley was last night, he says.
It's early. It's early. Don't you like a coach that says it like it is?
He does cross the line, though, also.
Oh, please.
He's got a lot of his brother in him.
Please.
He does flick out. But out yesterday, I thought last night was fantastic with what he was saying and, calling out his medical staff, saying the team's not healthy, they're not getting him healthy. Basically saying his team wasn't tough. They weren't fighting back against Arizona's physicality. When guys were fighting over balls, everybody else was standing around. Gotta love it. Gotta love it, Dale, when he gets into that.
Boy, oh boy. Koa Pete.
16 points, 7 of 14, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks, Dale.
Boy, he'd look good in a Sun Devil uniform, wouldn't he?
As a freshman. Imagine him and Jop together, battling it out.
Goodness gracious. Oh, we can always hope for good things in the Valley.
Can we?
We can hope.
Hope gets you nowhere is, what we're looking at. This Steve Kerr thing, of course, you take off today, and you go over to Holmberg's Morning Sickness and do your little hit over there. So you'll be leaving for that. No Lou today. Lou will be tomorrow at 9 o'clock. He's traveling. With all the weather, he's probably good luck making it back, especially like Wickenburg with all the rain they're getting and everything. So drive safe there, Lou. We'll see him tomorrow. Coach Sheehan will be joining us here as soon as he gets online here for his weekly show. Big matchup against Wilcox this weekend.
State semifinals.
North Mesa, ALA North Mesa, I think is what it's actually called.
Okay.
Is where they're having that. I just wonder, how they set these games, what schools they set them up at and everything. They have to, contract with these schools? What's the deal?
Well, what was wrong with Westwood?
Yeah.
Crying out loud.
They moved, crooked numbers, for one. That should be outlawed. That should not be allowed.
Maybe that's why they got out of the rotation.
But championship game was at Mountain Point 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Then last year was at one school way up north.
Yes.
What is it? What was that called? Desert Ridge or something? I don't know. Whatever it was. Up north. And then it's back to Mountain Point again this year. Do they have to, schedule it? And do they pay the schools? I don't know. I don't know what they do. It's just weird. I don't get it. Of course, everybody else plays at Sun Devil Stadium. Well, 3A does it. 2A and 3A will be at Mountain Point. Televised this year. 3TV as well.
Yes. I saw that.
Yeah, so so you'll be able to watch that if you like. 3 p.m. kickoff next weekend. Don't know who the participants are yet, but St. John's plays on the other side, and Tanque Verde. Am I saying that right?
No. Tonke Verde.
Tonke? There's an A in there. Tanque.
No. I think it might be pronounced Tank Verde.
I've heard it so. I've heard 7, and that's just kids going there pronouncing it different ways. But they play in the other bracket. They play in McClintock same time. I find it interesting. These schools are playing at the same time because last year one played early, one played late.
Yeah, the last couple of years it's been 1 at 2 and 1 at 6.
Yeah, not this year. Weird. I don't know what they're doing, and I don't know. Maybe we could get some clarity on it here coming up because Mike Sheehan, a bird's eye view. Let's see what the mustache is today. Superstitions just creeping in on Coach Sheehan, of course. Scottsdale Christian Academy. Mike, how you doing, man?
They are. Good. How are you guys today?
Good. I mean, the obvious question is the rain. How's that affecting everything with what you're getting ready for this weekend?
We've been pretty lucky during our practice times. We've had to go a little bit earlier in the afternoon, like 3:30 to about 5:30. So we have missed it for the most part. Tuesday night, It started raining at the end of the practice, but it was when we were doing our sled conditioning, so it kind of made it fun. Like the kids were on there. It started raining. We were doing conditioning, so it kind of made it something horrible into something fun. So it's worked out well so far, you know.
So now, were you substituting yesterday?
You know what? I wasn't. I did switch it just because
Yeah.
not not due to superstition or anything. Not at all. No, yeah. 100%
I read your
due to
text on air
superstition.
yesterday. I read your text on air
Uh,
Monday night, no
yeah,
less. Yeah. Yeah.
I know. So but I did end up subbing yesterday. They needed somebody to cover yearbook. So I went in there and I did nothing because they're all caught up on yearbook. So I don't even know what
Wow. Wow.
I
That's a
literally it was
class?
Yeah.
They get credits for
yeah.
that at SCA?
Yeah, and then I do like an advisory Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the boys, for football boys. So we go in there, we either lift or watch film. And since I was in yearbook, or like obviously during that hour, it was something else, computer something that I can't even help with, but I can take role in. But the whole since I
Uh-oh. Look at that. Oh, look at he's bad mouthing himself there about computers, and then it freezes on him, Dale.
from hear me or no?
Now we
Oh,
can.
now you can. Yeah, you just look at that.
You-
You said you can't do anything but take roll with computers, and you're froze.
Oh yeah. So during advisory, I'm in this room with computers and there's kind of a class in there, and there's no teacher technically for my advisory class. So all the football players came into advisory and they all just sat on the floor and they did a little Quizlet. We did a little test on I can't even think right now. Now I'm all screwed up from this internet nonsense. From Wilcox, we have like a little Quizlet that we take, and the kids see formations, what we're trying to see, what their tendencies are, percentages, all that stuff. So it's funny.
Well, before we get into this week, that what's facing you here in a couple days, let's look back at last week. Obviously, as close a game as you played all year, 14-7 final score. Give us 2 or 3 of your big takeaways before we kind of get into offense and defense.
One, it felt like for a quarterfinal matchup, and I had said it all last week. It felt like a state championship caliber type game. There, Santan Charter's good. They got some dudes over there. They got great coaches. So it's like it felt like, what are we doing playing in the quarterfinals? That's honestly what it felt like. And it's great for the state, but I think that week 10 thing that we are doing in 2A now is creating some matchups that aren't necessarily favorable for the entire playoffs or how it should pan out at the end. But my takeaways is honestly, I'm very proud of my boys. You know, we were down at halftime, 7-0. Had turned the ball over a couple times in the first half. I felt like our boys were playing not to lose, opposed to, you know, playing free and trying to go score some points and having some fun. And I think second half, kind of challenged a couple of our seniors at halftime. They kind of switched their attitudes. We had some young juniors step up. And honestly, just very proud of the way they played the second half, because that was a good football team. You know, I think they kind of played into some talk and all that stuff in the first half. But once they got through that and started playing like Eagles football, obviously 2 scores and defense was freaking lights out. So I'm very proud of the Eagles from
Yeah,
last
but
Friday
both
night.
of these teams. It was one. If I've seen a lot of high school football this year, and it was probably the most enjoyable game from kickoff to ending. Both teams were heavyweights out there, right, battling it out. Defenses, as you just said, was just amazing on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
You know, whether
Yeah.
there was some bending and then they would toughen up. 7-0 at halftime, 14-7 at the end. You know, some big plays had to happen both for them to score and then for you guys to score on top of that. I have a question more on the offensive side here, especially in that first half, because you just alluded to it, right? You guys found some things that worked, right? Long passes down the sideline, things to that effect. You're able to give your quarterback, Sean, a lot of time to throw those balls. And some of those balls were underthrown. Some of those receivers, defenders made good plays, things to that effect. When you saw that, you made the adjustment in the first half, and it wasn't necessarily working out for you, right? You could see it happening, and they didn't always go. How do you do that going into halftime, into the second half, when it just wasn't working in the first half, even though you could see it would work if we could just complete it?
Yeah, I think our execution, that's what I was kind of talking about. So I feel like Sean was and this is not a shot at a young man. I think he was
Yeah.
just a little tight that first half, right? That's a big game.
He was
big
getting
time
hit a
game, and
lot. He was getting
obviously
hit a
against.
lot early too. So
Yeah, he did. He got whacked one time, and I feel like that got to him. They're 55, their defensive ends, great football player. For some reason, our running back on one of our pass plays
yeah,
went in, and he's tagged to go. He's outside in, and he went inside out, and
yeah.
Sean got whacked, and I think that got in his head a little bit, right? You know, when he threw an interception that Dom Dickerson kind of like he missed and wasn't paying attention, popped into Zero's hands. Zero returned it for a long ways, and I
Mhm.
think they got a little momentum right there. I think Sean just got into his head a little bit. Settled down in the second half, kind of did we did some adjustments. We obviously adjusted, and I feel like we coached the heck out of our football team that second half, and it showed. I think what we did won the game as far as game plan wise, and then Sean just had to execute, and he did the second half, and our run game got going the second half too.
Yeah, so I mean, take us behind the scenes here, right? When that happens, like I said, it's not a knock on the players, right? Players sometimes,
Oh yeah,
struggle
yeah.
stuff like that. But when you go into the halftime there, how do you, for a 16, 17-year-old kid, I'm sure for the pros like Dale in your time, coaches throwing, chairs against the wall, saying you're better than this, things to that effect. As a high school coach, just what's kind of the different mentality getting them on board and I'm going to use the term wake them up. That's not the right term,
Mhm.
but getting them prepared to come out in that second half and execute.
I feel like it's the old adage, like you kind of tear them down and you build them up, right? So I called out, multiple kids, multiple kids. I think maybe 7 to 8 kids. I called them out individually in front of the team because they're the leaders. They're the seniors, some of the juniors that are, that should be leaders as well. I called them out individually, and it was almost like we walked into the locker room or the weight room because we don't have a locker room right now because something's getting built out. But walk into the weight room and everybody's got their heads hung and all this stuff. And it's a 7-0 ball game. We were down 7-0 at half, or we were down 7 at half to PC too. And I walked in there and it's frustrating because you see a bunch of kids looking like their dog got shot when they're just playing a game,
Mhm.
and they had a bad half of football. Not a terrible half, but a bad half. Defense was playing awesome. So, we had a chance. Our offense can score. As soon as they figured out, get a little confidence, but kind of went in there. Sorry, I've been sick this week. Kind of went in the locker room, called some dudes out, and just challenge them to who they are, get out of their own way. They're just, instead of looking sad face and all that stuff, let's go back to having fun. Talked about what we wanted to do game plan wise the second half. We obviously, coaches like schemed it up well. I think that's what won that game. That second half was coaching, to be honest, and some execution. But then I told the boys, I'm like, hey, let's go back to having fun. Turn the lights off, turn the music back up, and started, just restarted everything, get the energy back. So ripped them, did all that stuff, called them out for what they were doing, stop playing tight, stop playing to lose a game. Then we turn the lights off, turn the music back up, and let's get going for the second half. And you could tell a different team came out the second half.
Talk about that defensive staff led by Paul Clark and the job that they all have done because obviously it seems like they stepped up in the biggest moments, played all sorts of different offenses and things like that. Just give that crew a shout out.
Oh, defense has been phenomenal. Coach Neidick, Coach Clark, Coach Jackson, Coach Taylor, Coach Flowers, Coach Salazar, like everybody on the
How many
defensive coach.
coaches do you have over there? Are you Ohio State?
I know we got. Well, I'll tell you what, we have quite a few coaches. I do get a little bit of grief like that, but I think there's a lot of dudes who want to be a part of something special and a good program, and I think we get great dudes coming in. But we do have a lot of coaches, yes. But I think ALA. I'm going to go back to ALA again and say that that was one of the greatest things that could have happened to us. It was someone put it on us, and they ran at us, and they ran at us, and they ran at us, and it kind of humbled the boys, and it made the coaching staff be like, okay, like what do we do differently schematically? Sorry, I'm sorry if I keep coughing. Schematically, alignment wise, like what are we going to do? So let's get back in the books. Let's get back into some video. Let's call a bunch of coaches. Let's get some ideas. More heads are better than one. So our coaching staff is very humble in that. Nobody thinks they're above. They'll talk to other coaches. So I think Coach Clark really dove into it. As annoying as that man could be, he's one of my buddies, right? I love him to death. But we fought. We fought on the phone the other day. On Monday, me and him have a yelling match at each other, and it's all because we care about what's going on, right? But and I mean a yelling match for like two people that like each other. It wasn't really bad, but
Right.
I think he's done a phenomenal job. I think you got some cat on Twitter says we can't stop the run. He's been quiet for a little bit for
Yeah.
the last couple weeks,
Yeah.
but I
After that
hope
ALA
some
game,
more
he
of
was
those
pretty
come
loud,
out.
wasn't he?
Dude, so loud, and just shut up. You know what I mean? Right after that, some dude just with his little Twitter finger sitting in his basement. Anyways, said we couldn't stop the run. I'm sure we did, and that's not Santan. It has nothing to do with Santan. I thought Santan was a great football team, super. All those things has nothing to do with them. It's just some dude in
Yeah.
some dude's basement.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. You're not
anyways,
attacking Xante. You're attacking. Yeah. You're attacking the other team.
yeah, no,
I
I'm
know. See, I know who you're talking about, so
I
I get it. Yeah.
yeah, said we couldn't stop the run, had the longest tweet of all time, said we'd cry. No one's crying. We're just moving on to the second round and see what we can do against Wilcox in the semis. But we'll see if we can stop. We do have to stop the run again, so I hope
Yeah.
he puts that out again because we can't stop the run.
I mean,
So,
I'm not. I know you're not focused on this, but I came away from that Santan game. Now you have a lot of seniors and things to that effect. I mean, I'll give Santan some props here. Yes, they talk a lot. I said it earlier on the program what one of their coaches did. I mean, he looked right at me and said it. And I was standing there and my hat and my shirt and everything. And they talk a lot. They're big. Like I was shocked at the size of them when they walked out of the
they're
locker room.
big.
Like,
They're big.
I mean,
They're
Autumn
big.
saw me. Like I kind of like stood up straight, and I was like, "Whoo, big boys." A lot of them are sophomores, and watching them play, their coaching staff is good. It was amazing to see the coaching battle between you guys, the way that changes. But then I came away with that going, Santan's going to be a force here these next couple years. Like,
Without a
yeah,
doubt, dude.
they're that young
Without a
and they're
doubt.
they're that big, they're that fast, and things to that. And I was that's what I came away with in that game. So I'll give Santan props here. That was my takeaway walking away from that game on Friday night. From their perspective, but yeah, they do talk a lot though, don't they?
No comment. No
Yeah.
comment. So,
All
I
right,
just want to get him in trouble, Dale. Come
I
on.
don't talk. I
How
don't
about,
talk. So
how about
no
we move
comment.
on to Wilcox, which you got this week? It's Saturday,
Mhm,
and it's
mhm,
not at
mhm.
Westwood.
Saturday. It's weird. I don't like it. It's like different, right?
Yeah.
It's Saturday 6 p.m. at American Leadership, one of those 72 campuses, Mason North.
Okay.
It's like American Leadership, Mason North Quadrant
Yeah.
to the West Valley, like
No,
whatever it like. It's out on the bubble. It's like Wrecker or whatever.
No,
something
it's
like
off
that,
Thomas.
Wrecker
Yeah, so
Associates.
yeah, record
it's
Thomas.
off.
But I look. I want to
Yeah.
thank the AIA for making a game close to my house, Mike. So it
There
makes me
you
feel
go.
better.
There you
Yeah.
go. There you
I don't
go.
have to
And it's-
travel as far
the
now.
boys are like, oh, that's so far. I go, dude, Wilcox has to drive 3 hours. Be quiet.
Yeah.
You scared-
Oh,
we got to get in our little charter and drive down to LA Mesa, and they got to come in a school bus for 3 hours, come
Yeah.
and smoke us. That's what they want. Like quiet.
so in years past, it seems like SCA's played teams they've already played on the way in the playoffs, on the way to the state championships, familiar with those teams, know what they do, know how good they are. Wilcox hasn't been on your schedule, hasn't been on SCA's schedule for a while. When you turn on the film, what's the first couple of things that jump out about them to you?
They like to run the rock.
Yeah.
Dude, they run the rock. Coach Lotz is actually a really good buddy of mine. I met him in the all region voting last couple of years, and we've had a really good relationship last couple of years, texting each other. Even this week, even when we're not supposed to be coaching, like we're coaching against each other and all that stuff. It's such a healthy rivalry. I love this guy that we're about to coach against. I'm excited to take the field with them. Great, godly man, leader of men. So what I do know is they run the rock, and I think they're about 80-20. They will throw. They threw against Tank Verdi. They threw against.
Is that how you
Tank
say it?
Verdi.
I
Yeah,
do.
Tank
Your
Verdi.
your announcement guy at your field was even saying it wrong there. He was calling it Tank.
Actually, I don't know either. I'm just
Yeah.
giving you the
Okay. See,
first
all
impression.
right. All right. Thank you.
I think it's Tanka Verdi. I think it's Tanka.
That's what I do
TANK.
think it
is,
I think it's
yeah.
Tanka Verdi. Yeah. So they threw against Tanka Verdi, but they were down. Quarterback can't sling it. They got a wide receiver that's a big, tall, athletic kid out there, number 11. He's a great athlete. They've got a couple running backs. Actually, they got a bunch of running backs. If you look at them, they share the ball a little bit. Good old line. Middle linebacker 73 plays guard for them too. He can play. They're gonna be a good team. And it's one of those things. They have nothing to lose. They have nothing to lose. They're coming to play the 2-time defending state champs in a semifinals game where obviously, like, we've been here before, but at the same time, that's not necessarily a good thing. It's a good thing as far as like you have the experience and all that stuff, but we've got to get the game hype up. We, coming off that Santan win, that was a huge win, huge emotional win. Like, we have to continue to the next week. But I think they're a heck of a football team, and they're in the semis for a reason. That's for sure.
I mean, you say they run the rock, right? Last week against Benson, 40 runs, 271 yards for them. That Caleb Cook, he's a junior, number 6 for them, had 24 carries, 219 yards. Then they had another guy, a kid. I'm going to screw up that name, Ishmael. We'll just call him Ishmael, number 13, 49 yards and 12 rushes for him. And then, they thrown the ball 3 times last week. Now they had a lead. They won 26-6.
So it's more than 80-20, but it's like if they don't have to throw the ball, they don't want to. So that's like the tough thing is we do have to stop the run. And that was an Achilles heel. That's no secret a couple weeks ago. So hopefully we can stop the run and stop them from, making big plays or limit big plays and kind of make them have to grind it down the field. That's
talk about the challenges that
tough.
their defense will bring on Saturday to your offense.
They're good blitzers. We'll see what we get. They had a three-man front with a 3-4 type style defense. They blitz a lot. So, a lot of times they're bringing 4, no matter if it's 3-man front. 73 is a great blitzer. He times it very well. Middle linebacker. He does a good job of, he's probably gauging the snap count. He doesn't really blitz until maybe mid first series, second series. So I think he does a good job of picking up the snap count. So they don't want to get beat deep. They don't want to give up the big plays. So it's one of those things where we're a big play offense. We do like the big plays. So I guarantee they're going to try to limit those. I think we'll just have to grind it out. We got to get our run game going again. I think that's the most important thing. So get our run game going. But they're good. They can stop the run. They beat up Benson a little bit last week. Benson beat PC. So it's one of those things. This is a great matchup for the semifinals.
Well, I mean, you said earlier, that you thought that 10th game kind of skewered this up. But, I mean, last weekend's games, those were all teams deserving, right, of course, the big upset of the number 1 seed going down. But, I mean, those were all games that you'd be facing one of those good teams, not just you, but, I mean, everybody. So I don't know if that 10th game messed it up. I think the 2A division is just extra deep this year than it has been the last couple of years.
Okay, yeah, I'll agree with that. I just think as far as, like, Santan being a 7 seed, they weren't a 7
seed. Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. But then you would have switched it with ALA or Benson or St. John's or something to that effect.
Right, yeah, St. John's, Veritas, us, Tank Verde, Santan, like, they're like PC, like there are good football teams. So it just felt like, excuse me, sir. Man, it just felt like, I know, it just felt like, Pima being whatever seed they were, and then Santan being, it just, I feel like that 10th game shifted things a lot of what had been built out throughout the season. And all of a sudden you have this 10th game of a lot of the best teams against each other and things change dramatically, right?
Yeah.
Santan shouldn't be playing St. John's in week 10 and having to drive 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if we should be playing ALA week 10. Obviously it did. It's great for us, right? But like, what do we like? I'm not going to take anything. I'm not going to take any shots at that, but I feel like I know what they're trying to do. I just don't know if that set the playoffs the way it should have set the playoffs. At 9 games, it's set one way.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the 10th week just changes everything dramatically, right? Like I'm telling you, Santan is not a quarterfinals team. Us and Santan.
I don't disagree. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if they were on the other side, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. If they didn't, lose last week, they would have gone far, right?
Yes.
It was amazing. And I, one of your coaches who will remain nameless after that game walked over to me, goes, "Woo!" I was like, And he goes, "We're lucky to get out of that." He didn't. I don't think he used the word lucky, but he was like, "That team should be advancing right now as well." So I think that was the overall takeaway for, like you said, for the round. It felt a little off, right, going into that. But
Not
I
for
mean,
the round, exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
it's playoff football, of course, but just
yeah,
for a quarterfinals game, for them to be a quarterfinals team and out is
yeah.
crazy.
So I mean, last week, I'm going to go back to last week to talk about this week. I mean, you had 5 different guys carry the ball and carry the ball successfully last week, right? They're running it things. I ended up having 28 carries, 143 yards. They're obviously a running team as well. I went back several games just to make sure last week wasn't an aberration. It's not. They just run the ball down there, right? The guy that catches the ball most for them is their running back. Just and I'm sure you know that, but to let everybody know, that's the type of offense that they have. So obviously 2 running teams going back at it again this week, kind of just like last week was as well. Coming into this, first of all, I'm getting spoiled by these 2-hour football games. I'm loving them the last 2 weeks and everything. So, but what's the mindset on the defensive side with another running team coming in? And now you've gone back to conventional running as opposed to the wing tees and stuff like that. The guys in the locker room are kind of hype them up because. Is there an attitude of, we've seen this before, we just got to go tackle these guys, or do you have to keep them focused?
Well, no, you got to keep them absolutely focused because it's still a different type of look when in the run game, right? So Wilcox does it a really good way of getting the ball, to the weak side, to the A gap, to the outside, to the B gap. So they run power, counter, sweep, dive, like trap. They can hit you with everything. So I feel like it's just a preparation, right? Every team kind of has things they like to do out of certain formations. Understand that. Don't let anything surprise you. Play our defense and play the run like we have been doing. I think we've played the run pretty well the last couple weeks. And I think we just kind of got to stay on that front and just make sure we can recognize what they're trying to do, take away what their strengths are, and be ready for any kind of wrinkles because it's a playoff. So that double pass, the reverse, like we got to know that stuff's coming. I know Coach Lots down there is. I hope he listens because we're prepared for double passes. So don't call those. Don't call those, please. So we're prepared for like the plays, the hook and ladders, the reverses, the pitch pass. Like you got to be ready for that kind of stuff in the playoffs, especially against a run team when they're gonna want to hit some big plays on you. So we have to play really sound defense. Obviously, fly around. Everybody's got to fly to the ball, but it's another tough challenge this week for sure.
I'm just looking at the weather forecast. High of 60, 70% chance of rain. Are you doing some wet ball drills?
70%. Like, why do you guys do this?
Are you doing
It's not us.
Are you doing some wet ball drills? Like in Buffalo.
Oh yeah,
in Buffalo,
yes.
Jim Kelly, we used to have to put the ball in a pail of water, snap the ball, and he had to go throw it and all that.
Do you know those big well, I don't even know we have it on the field. It's the big fans. They're like for cooling when it's hot.
Right.
What we do is we have one plugged in on an extension cord and we have a wet ball. So we dip the ball in the water. And on Sean, we have this gigantic fan blowing. So the wind's blowing and you've got the water coming out of the bucket. So every snap, he's got like 60-mile-per-hour wind coming from his left with the wet ball. No, we don't do that. I just had that idea. But
that's better. That's better than having the bug sprayer and running after the guy.
Know,
was that USC a couple years?
We'll spray the ball a little bit, wet the ball a little bit. It's been drizzly at practice, so at least we get a little bit of that. But it's tell the kids to bring gloves, bring towels, and we got to throw the ball too, right? It's kind of what we.
Well, I mean, is that how big of a worry is that even just on running the football, right? The ball's going to be a different feel on it. Guys are going to get popped, right? And then is that more of a worry when it's wet? I would assume it would be.
Absolutely, but it's the same both ways, right? It's the same both ways. So it's
only going to rain on your sideline.
Yeah, just when we have the ball, it's going to be pouring. When they have the ball, it's all of a sudden just right. It's one of those things. But I feel like yes, that's we preach ball security, all those things. Take care of the ball. So we are doing a little bit more this week, obviously, because you have to, because we got to keep the ball on the ground a little bit more because it's raining and less opportunity to turn it over. We've been working on that a little bit.
Give us a couple things you have to do to win the football game. as you sit here on a Thursday morning?
Play great defense. Obviously, stop the run, which is it's going to be hard. They run it extremely well. So limit big plays, stop the run, and we got to run the rock. That's what has to happen.
I mean, that's
Pretty simple.
That's simple. Yeah, I mean, I should be able to do it without going.
Okay,
Go home.
Oh, totally easy. Totally easy. Yeah.
One
not
other
at all.
question I saw, I'm still on some of your on whatever your huddle thing is. So you had an extra day this week.
Yes.
And you're doing a practice tomorrow rather than the walkthrough in the morning, or what's going on? How you handle it?
Yes. Because I feel like, remember last year in the playoffs when we had Veritas, we lost everybody. We felt like we had to, instead of having that walkthrough, we felt like we had to have that extra practice. I feel like, and it's just me, like it's probably just in my own head. I'm sure it is. But we've started out slow. And when we do a walkthrough on a Thursday morning, we're done and we don't do anything until Friday night. You know, it's 24, like it's a long time since our last practice in pads and doing
36 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was trying to do the math.
I know. I saw that. You went back to Kingman. I thought I'd help you out.
The Kingman. The Kingman education failed me right there.
He never helps me on my math. He just lets me hang out there.
I know. Yeah, so 36 hours, even longer since a padded practice.
Right.
So about, let's go
48 hours. Yeah.
Bang, dude. Yeah, 48, 52. Since you last put pads on, it did some real stuff. So we're going to go Friday, nothing crazy, but do our walkthrough and have a padded practice, run our offense, run our defense, instead of coming out in polos and, messing around and just going through the motions. Just try to stay locked in, get a little bit more reps before we go into Saturday.
How does it change at all going to a neutral site now? And quite frankly, a stadium you've never seen. None of these kids have seen ALA North Main. It's so far from Scottsdale.
That's where we've been practicing there the whole week.
Have you really? No, you haven't. You got me.
I just wanted to make everybody mad, and that's like, cool. They get to go do that.
You got me.
For some reason, I saw 15 helicopters land at SCA, and you flew them all to ALA North.
Hey, yeah. All of our helicopters, we just had a couple parents get some helicopters, flew us over, took Air Force 16 over to there. We dropped this off. We've been practicing there all week. No, I just wanted to.
You guys act like this is so far. I mean, it's 15 minutes from my house, so it's not close to me either. But you guys are all acting like it's so far.
I know. It's not that bad. I sell houses out there. It's not that bad. You know what I mean? So
that is a nice area up there, right? The base of the mountains and everything. Yeah.
Out by Los Angeles and all stuff. I sold houses out there. I sold a bunch of stuff. So if anybody needs anything around the valley, go ahead and call 602.
Hey, plug it, man. Plug it.
No. My wife just looks at me like I'm crazy. She said I haven't been working very hard in business-wise. I've been all football lately, which is
Dale, you know what that means.
Yeah, well,
that means that money. She's upset about the money, right?
Well, hey, it's playoff time, right?
I know. I gotta go sub. Hey, I need some money. I gotta go sub your book today.
Yeah, I gotta go take roll. Wow. All right, Mike. Well, good luck on Saturday. We'll be cheering for you, and hopefully you got one more in you.
My last question is, last question is, last year, the one game was early, one game was late, so you're able to watch the other teams. Obviously, that's changed this year with them playing at McClintock. I know it doesn't matter because you're focused on this game as well, but does that change things, at all from your perspective?
To be honest, I do not even care about next week unless we get to next week. There was one of the teams that actually sent me a request for film for next week. I respectfully declined and said, I'm worried about this week because if we don't get by this week, I don't want to jinx it or anything like that. So I declined. Well, honestly, that's a coach reply, right? But it's the truth. I don't even care. All I care is 6 p.m. on Saturday and us. And if we give ourselves another shot at a title, but we got a heck of a mountain in front of us again. So we got to get past that first. I don't care about anything.
I was just more curious.
But you're not wrong.
I was more curious, on a scouting, I was kind of leading you to a scouting type of thing, in the NFL, of course.
You know what I loved? Yes. I will say this. When we played ALA 2 years ago when we were the first game, and we were able to stick around and watch
Yeah,
Santan
that's
and
what I'm
Pima
getting at,
that game. That was very beneficial.
Yeah.
When you're the second game, it might put you at a little bit of disadvantage. So
Yeah.
maybe that's why they did it.
Yeah, and that's what I was leading you towards. Was more of that more than oh no, you're worried about the. I'm not saying.
No, I know. I
yeah.
gave you the cliche reply. I gave you the cliche.
Yeah, I
reply.
mean, you're not sending some parents over there or a coach on the sideline over there to watch that game just in case or anything to that effect. But no,
No.
just curious on. 'Cause like you said, it
just,
wasn't
we gotta worry
advantage
about it.
last
Get
year.
ours first.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what's the cool thing is, and if I didn't say it, he'd get all butthurt and be like, "You didn't say anything about me on the radio today."
I
My
talked to him
dad is
last
back
week.
for stats this week. My dad is back for stats
Okay.
this week. He'll be on the sideline. So
What
that's
a
exciting.
tough dude.
He was a trooper
I
sitting
know,
in those
seriously.
seats last week
Yeah.
up top there. I went over and talked to
Yes.
him at halftime and everything, and he complained about you, complaining about him in the hospital.
Oh
And,
yeah. Well, it's weird. He just after he's not even doing stats or anything, and all of a sudden we're in that huddle afterwards. He just appears.
yeah,
And I'm like,
I
what
walked
are you
out
doing
with
over
him,
here?
yeah.
Just
yeah.
just teleported over. Like he couldn't stay away. I love it. I love
Well,
it.
he's got to do stats this week because they don't let us near the field starting this
It
week.
is, yeah.
so.
They're all serious. I put in names and all that stuff. It's kind of
That is the one thing that I remember 3 years ago, the year before you got there. None of us were prepared for. Oh, now this is AIA time.
Yeah.
And you have time when you go on the field, time when you got to be out the field. You can't have this. You
Oh,
can't
it's so
have. It's
annoying.
like,
Yes.
well, why all of a sudden you get in the middle of our business when you've been doing something a certain way for 12 weeks?
We'll do it the way we want to, and we'll be there for kickoff. How's
Yeah,
that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah, I know,
agree.
yeah.
It's
Yeah, I don't
It's,
remember who it
it's-
was, but somebody was like, "Oh man, you go into the game and you'll be." It might have been you, it might have been somebody. It had to be somebody else. And I was like, "No," I go, "This is the week where man, we're just unknowns in the stands and afterwards. If we can hang out and grab somebody, we will. Otherwise, we just take off. Nobody's gonna even know we're there this week because of the way they are." So.
They got to have names for anyone that has to do with that's coming that will be on the sidelines.
Yeah.
They want a name and has to have a pass and a wristband. It's super serious. It is. I don't know why.
You should see getting your ticket to go in how serious it is. I mean, last year at the championship game, poor Autumn got the 9th or 10th degree on that because the lady clicked both of the tickets and forgot she did one of them. And she was ready to tackle me on. I was trying to sneak into this thing for $10 or whatever.
It's awesome.
I was just even Autumn was like, "What the heck, man?" So,
They're
well, get out
serious.
of here. You have a good game Saturday nights. If I see you there, I'll see you there. If not, I'm gonna go rain or shine. By the way,
I'll wave.
Yeah, exactly. I'll yell for you. I'll be the guy yelling. Everybody else will be yelling for the kids, and I'll be like, "Cheer on!"
Hey, let's do it. Hey, just get me going a little bit. Just yell at me, yell something negative, just so I get pissed off.
I will.
Coach better.
Your mustache looks stupid. Your wife told me.
It does. You're not wrong though. That doesn't even make me mad because you're right.
All right, that'll be it. It'll be out of context. Everybody will hate me.
Yeah.
Because it'll be out of context, but we'll go with it, right? So, but I'm
Yep,
prepared to sit in the rain in this game if I have to on Saturday night. And like I said, for me, I am kind of a wuss these days. I'm still gonna
Bring
do
an
it either
umbrella.
way.
Or
so.
bring one. Hey, get maybe a tarp. You know what I mean? Just get a tarp.
Tarp. Dale gets bored when I bring it up about me. So get out of here, Mike. We'll see you Saturday.
Game, now it's all turned into what about Steve? This game's about
What about
SCA.
Steve?
Hey, who cares if he's getting wet?
Listen, it's about a community, and everybody's part of the community. You know what I mean? That's what it is.
Thanks,
all
Mike.
one.
Thank you for that.
We're all one.
Thank you. I'm just voicing it for all the parents that don't have a voice right now. Going, we have to sit in the rain. What?
Good luck, Mike.
See you, man. Thank
Bye.
you. Dale, get out of here.
Sweet.
Tired. Don't say another word. Just get out of here. I'm tired of you right now.
Championship game.
We've even got plans if they go to the state championship game because ASU U of A plays that day. We've already made our plans if they make it to that point. We're
Don't
planning
talk
that
about
far ahead.
next week.
I'm a fan. I can talk however I want. See you later, Dale. Everybody else, I'll get you the rest of the show. No Lou today. So I'll get you. We got a lot to talk about. NBA, everybody's crying about the schedule still.
Go Wildcats.
Yeah, Wildcats as well. Come on back, folks. The main event. And we're back here. Main event. I'm Stephen McCollum, of course. Get you the rest of the way here today. Dale takes off. Lou's going to join us tomorrow at 9 o'clock. He's traveling today, back from Las Vegas, meeting up with some of his friends up there and everything. So he's going to join us tomorrow as well. But I got you the rest of the way here. And I mean, you heard it right there, right? Coach is a little bit under the weather. Sickness is going around with the weather we've been having and everything. And I've got this voice problem again. So let's see how it does here over the next hour and a half or so here, as well as we continue on here. A couple just miscellaneous things I want to follow up on. Don't forget, you could text us 623-252-6670 right to the text line like Flash Gordon had done. He'd actually done this, and I kind of started a little bit. He texted this back on November 5th on the text line there. And it was about Trey Benson. He was asking then if any word on Trey Benson coming out last week. And at the time, I was like, no, watched the practice. He hadn't been there and everything. They've officially given him his practice window. I saw him practicing yesterday here as well. So the Cardinals might be getting Trey Benson back. Now, I don't know how much of a ramp up he needs after he's been out for a running back. So I don't know how much of a ramp up that he needs to be ready to go in the season. Would I be surprised if we didn't see him this week? No. But at the other side, here's the other thing. D. McCarter's out, right, with his high ankle sprain. That leaves you with Bam Knight, Michael Carter. I mean, you want me to keep naming running backs here? Very slim pickings here on the running back side. That does now about the why he practiced yesterday. We'll have to watch him throughout the rest of this week, but I might not be surprised if Trey Benson, even though it's a 21-day window that opened up for him, I wouldn't be surprised maybe if we see him because they haven't brought, I know they can bring people up from the practice squad and things to that effect. So something to watch there for Trey Benson this week as well. So, the injury report, as I click on the wrong button here, that we're looking at it. Cardinals site's messing with me here in terms of the email side of things as well. Injury report here going into for yesterday, Beachum did not practice with that groin injury. Browning, concussion, is still in that concussion protocol for the linebacker side. Marvin Harrison Jr. has been ruled out for this week, if you missed that news as well. So he is out. And I was shocked when they said, he's out for next week. I was like, he's out for 2 to 3 weeks. One, you had a major organ removed from your insides, right? For one. And two, he's got to be sluggish. Forget about the surgery, things to that effect. You got to be sluggish and tired. Your body's been through a lot with that to get back out there and get hit again and running, etc. So I think Marvin Harrison Jr. might miss few weeks here as well, but definitely already been ruled out for this week as well. Will Johnson still dealing with that hip injury. Did not practice, of course, as well. Darian Taylor-Demerson with his ankle did not practice either. Jonah Williams and his shoulders did not practice. Will Hernandez and his knee is still out and not practicing either as well. So, this team is a walking mass unit going into the game this weekend and, see what happens. And it's amazing because then you got the Jacksonville Jaguars. I pay attention to other people's, obviously, injury reports and things to that effect. Everybody on the Jaguars injury report is limited. And that's what's fascinating about this. And that's how banged up the Cardinals are going into this game this weekend as well. Now, I'm not using it as an excuse, right? I've done the parallel here with the Niners enough over the last couple weeks. Injuries are not an excuse in the NFL. If you want to use it as one, fine. If you want to use it as a crutch. But don't the 49ers show you can win with injuries? In my eyes, they do. So, to me, that injuries are just an excuse. You should, if you do your roster properly and you get the right people in there, you have the right coaching staff to coach these guys up, injuries are just a bump in the road to a certain extent. We've been waiting for the Niners to fall off for weeks. Eventually, these injuries are going to catch up to them. Eventually, they're going to catch up to them. Hasn't. Injuries are just an excuse if you want to make it at that point as well. for the Cardinals. So they signed a new punter yesterday. I get it. Their last punter was struggling out there, right? Getting his punts off and things to that effect. But yeah, getting a punter in off the street, it's an ex-ASU punter, no less, as well. But bringing a punter in off the street, I mean, there's a reason he doesn't have a job. I just don't. I'm not going to get my hopes up because they signed Matt Hack as their punter, and he's going to be exponentially better than what they've had before, right? It's kind of what we look for. Cardinals brought Trent Sherfield back to the team as well. Of course, he was here for a few years before. They did sign a linebacker as well, Jared Bartlett, and Trey Wettig there, an offensive lineman, all to the practice squad going into this weekend. So Cardinals, with this thing that they're dealing with, they're all over the place, and what they're dealing with out there. Jacoby Brissett talked to the media yesterday. We always talk about Jonathan Gannon and his comments. If you went back to Coop on Tuesday, that when Bruce Cooper was in here with me and Dale every Tuesday, by the way, through the football season, I brought up the fact, how Jonathan Gannon looked like a confident man there on Monday's press conference. That's a man that thinks his job's safe. And I want to talk a little bit more about the job security. I'm walking up to the line on Jonathan Gannon needs to go. I'm walking up to that line. But I think if he makes coaching staff changes, get some experience in here, even if it's just keep Penzing, but bring in some offensive consultants, some people that have been through the fire before, so you're not the youngest coaching staff on the face of the planet. If they were when they were hired, and they've got to be close to being the same now. But you can make some changes, and that would give you some more faith going into year 4, right, that you're looking at. But teams like the Panthers, teams like the Colts are showing you can rebound quickly with the right coaching staff, regardless of the players in my eyes. You can turn around fast. You can turn around quickly. And this coaching staff does nothing fast. Nothing fast at all. Nothing fast at all. And Jonathan Gannon looked like a confident coach on Monday, like he's there. But I also want to reiterate, if Michael Bidwell, I'll even say Monty, if either one of those have made a decision either way on their coaching future with 7 games left, that's dereliction of duty on their part. You got to see how the season plays out. Yes, you had 2 bad blowouts to divisional foes. That is 1,000% unacceptable. You would rather see a blowout against a non-division team like the Jaguars this weekend than you would the Rams or the Seahawks, the Niners or the Seahawks, right? Or even the Rams. Those games are coming up. In my eyes, that's how I would look. That's how I look at it when I look at it. You don't want to see blowouts at all, but I'd rather see it against non-divisional foes because you got to compete in your division in order to win it, right? And that effect. But if Michael Bidwell or even Monty is leaning one way or the other, you got to let this play out, right? If they go on a 7-game winning streak and you've decided he's got to go, and then you're an idiot. And it's not publicized. So you're not going to look like an idiot publicly. At the same time, if you think he can stay and they lose the next 7 and they lose 4 of those 7 badly, you've got to consider making a coaching change at that point. So, we do the coaching talk and stuff like that as fans, right? As an opinion host that I am. I'm looking at it from that perspective. If I was in Monty's or Michael Bidwell's shoes, they should have 0 decisions unless there's a personality issue that they're like, this, I don't want this personality here. I don't like him as a human being. That's different. Then you can make your mind up that he needs to go regardless of what happens at that point. I understand that side. But absent of that, Michael Bidwell and Monty should have 0 feelings on if their coach stays or goes next year at this point in the season. I was thinking a little bit more about that over the last couple of days as I'm walking up to that line of Gannon needs to go. Got to see how the rest of the season goes. If they only have 3 wins at the end of the season, 4 wins, and you're getting blown out, you've got to think very, very tightly that it's time to move on and find somebody else in here that can bring fresh blood into here and build this team up, et cetera, type of a situation. But if you win the next 7, you're good to go. You win 5 of 7. You get to 7 wins. You get to 8 wins. Already unload him at that point, unless there's that personality issue out there as well. But Jacoby Brissett spoke yesterday in the media. And, Jacoby Brissett's not a spring chicken anymore, right? He's in his mid-30s, been around the league, been a starter, been backups, just, gone around the league. And, I think him like he's a journeyman quarterback, but he's a quarterback that teams bring in when they need a stopgap. And there's a place for those. Like, I hear somebody say, Jacoby Brissett's just not good. Jacoby Brissett's a good quarterback. Is he a top 15 quarterback in the league? No. But he can get you to your next step. He can get you that bridge gap like he did with the Patriots right before Drake May started and those types of situations. You can even throw the Colts in there at that point where he started that year. And then, of course, they drafted, I believe it was Richardson at that point as well, if I remember correctly, on which quarterback of the Colts came in at that point in time. But Jacoby Brissett yesterday was talking on kind of what the privilege is to keep playing, what it means to keep playing. And it'd be interesting to see playing this in front of Dale, right? Because Dale played 17 years in the NFL. But here's Jacoby Brissett yesterday on still being able to play.
I think the most important part is having the gratitude to say, you know what, like, if whatever the case may be, I'm gonna still enjoy something in this thing that I'm doing. Because if not, you might as well stop, because this shit's gonna get harder. You know what I mean? The older you get in it gets harder. The more you lose, it gets harder. The more noise you hear, it gets harder. And the one thing that you can kind of keep out is when you get in the huddle and when you walk in the building.
I mean, that looks like a man that still has the drive to play. And you can see it on the football field as well, right? The way he's playing out there. I mean, the offense has improved since he's been out there. I had no illusions that Jacoby Brissett was going to start winning a ton of games with this team. I had zero illusions that was going to happen. But the offense looks better. Ball's moving up and down the field. You're seeing what you have in terms of Garrett Wilson, Dortch, those guys. This team's a walking mass unit, and they're 400 yards a game, right? Moving up and down the field. And he's still got that passion. That's the attitude you need. Whatever you do in terms of the quarterback position, whether you have to unload Kyler Murray, I don't think that anybody's trading for him unless somebody gets in a serious we must have Kyler Murray position and they don't want him to go to the free agency market because they know they won't get him in that market. That's the only scenario I see somebody trading for Kyler Murray. Unless the Cardinals take less for him. 2 3s, a 3 and a 4, something to that effect, which everybody will lose their mind about. But that's better than losing him outright, right? When you cut him and you lose him that way. But whatever the Cardinals do in the quarterback position next year, whether they draft one of these quarterbacks that, quite frankly, doesn't get you all excited as NFL starting quarterbacks from college, or you go, get another free agent out there and take a chance on an older free agent to come in and do that side. Whatever you do as the Cardinals, Jacoby Brissett, now he's under contract for next year. Jacoby Brissett is the guy you need here to help out in this transition. And if he's the starter for a year, it's okay with that as well, right? But I'll say this, and this is the problem that the Cardinals are in right now, Jonathan Gannon. He's struggling this year. We've chronicled the issues. Chronicled him here. His disposition, I make fun of it all the time, the crossing the arms and just staring into the world. When there's penalties galore, he's not talking to the officials, not talking to his coordinators, just standing on the sideline with his arms crossed and the headphone on. That disposition, the reluctance to see the issues around his coaching staff, maybe he sees it, and he's not saying it publicly, but just the constant, nothing needs to change. I'm confident in what we're doing, when it's all going badly. That stuff drives me nuts. Jonathan Gannon's problem is, I'll just say it here. You get rid of Kyler Murray? Who's your quarterback going to be? Is it going to get better for next year? If you start Jacoby Brissett next year and you draft the guy, it's not going to get better next year. You're not going to all of a sudden go and win 8, 9, 10 games, most likely. So if Jonathan Gannon's not done this year, he's not going to do any better next year in year 4. Maybe they will. We'll have to see the moves that they make. But this is the danger here of keeping, Jonathan Gannon for another year. If you look at it from that perspective, now it's going to take what they do in that quarterback position if they can be more successful and go in the right direction. But you get rid of Kyler Murray, you're doing a rebuild again, folks. You're starting over on a rebuild side. If you draft a kid in this draft, that kid's not coming in and starting and taking you all the way. You're rebuilding again. You're going to give Jonathan Gannon another 3 years to rebuild? It is the decision's coming down to that type of stuff here. If Jonathan Gannon keeps his job this year, there's a very, very good chance he loses it next year. At that point, why even keep him around? So interesting decisions here coming up here, at least in terms of the coaching staff there of the Cardinals and stuff to that effect as well. And when we come back here in the second hour, we'll keep rolling on the NFL side of things. Folks, if you saw, Shedeur Sanders got in the game last week with Dylan Gabriel getting the concussion. Sanders came in, promptly went 4 for 16 attempts last week. Did not look good. Been practicing with the ones all week. Gets in front of the microphone yesterday and talks a little bit. I've got a fascinating clip for you coming up as well on Sanders. The Saints, another international game coming our way. The NFL is on its way to 18 games, folks. And that additional game, don't get your hopes up, because your team's 18th game, the extra game, is going to be an international game. We're going that way. I'll tell you about the new international one coming up as well, that rumors are out there, and what team will be involved in that. And kind of makes sense if you think about it, right? With the Notre Dame over there and all of that stuff. Come on back, folks. Second hour, main event coming up next. And we're back here, second hour main event. Of course, normally at this time on Thursdays, we have Uncle Lou joining us. Of course, at Gamblu.com, Visa Network. He's going to join us tomorrow on Friday. He's traveling here with the wet weather. We want to make sure he gets back here safe. Lots of weather there in the West Valley, Wickenburg area over the last couple of days. It got the most rainfall out of anywhere over the last couple of days. And driving back in from Vegas, we want to make sure he's safe and everything. So moved his appearance, weekly appearance, to Friday. So tomorrow at 9, he'll be joining us remotely as well. And hey, if you're joining us, I see the podcast numbers, and I see the YouTube views and the Robat views as well. When Lou comes on, I'm not insulted, but I see him spike a little bit. I really do for the Lou segments. Stick around. You're probably tuning in right now. Just stick around. We'll have him. I'll do a good show the rest of the day. And then, of course, Lou joins us tomorrow at 9 o'clock as well, coming up. And the UFC, last weekend was the numbered events. I did not watch the mains because I'm not paying the $80. I'm not going through all the steal it type of stuff and all of that. I'm just going to patiently wait for the Paramount side to come up and everything for there. But we're coming down to only 3 more fights here left in this season, this year, I should say, before it goes to paramount into next year. This weekend on the UFC, you have Qatar this weekend. So breakfast UFC fighting. Main card starts at 11 a.m. So that means prelims are about 7 a.m. Our time here as well. So in Qatar this weekend. And then you got, here we go. Sarkian and Hooker battling it up in the main card on here. Then after that, you got UFC 323 on December 6th. So obviously a break for Thanksgiving weekend. And then December 6th, Davos Valley and Jan, 2 coming up for those guys. And then the final one will be Royval versus Kopp. I believe is how you pronounce it. That's an Apex fight there in Las Vegas there on December 13th. So this weekend in Qatar, break for Thanksgiving weekend next week. December, 2 fights before the season ends here as well. So when Lou comes on tomorrow, of course, go to gamblou.com, see his blog right now as well. And, of course, we'll talk NFL with him as well. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't even check. I've had a busy week with my favorite, my HOA stuff, dealing with that car that was stolen. I'm still dealing with that insurance side. I had to go hang out at the DMV yesterday and get a new license plate because apparently nobody knew this. I found it out when I went to try to drive it from the place it's at now over to the body shop. Finally, I found out cops take license plates when the cars are stolen. So I had to go get a license plate yesterday, hang out at the DMV for about an hour and a half type stuff. And I had no paperwork or anything, so a little bit longer process than it should have been. So I've been dealing with that stuff all week anyway, but I did not check with Lou's last week in terms of what he was kind of talking about, giving us ideas on in terms of investing and just overall the conversation, right? And, I say it all the time here. Lou, yeah, he's a gambler. We talk odds here as well. But even if you don't gamble, it gives you a different perspective to talk to people around, the old-fashioned, what we call it. You youngins won't understand this, but the water cooler at work, right? Even if you're not a sports fan. It was funny because even my 17-year-old was telling me, he was at school one day, and he listens to the show after school sometimes, and he caught a show one time, and he threw it out to one of his teachers. I got an email saying, hey, Ethan was saying this, and it turned out to be right, and blah, blah. And I was all like, all because of the different perspective that Lou brings to you as well. So anyway, Lou's tomorrow, 9 o'clock. Come and join us then as well, remotely as well. For those of you just joining us now, I'm Stephen McCollum, your humble host here at the main event. Dale Hellestrae on Thursdays goes over. We, there's no other way to put it. I allow him to go over to his good buddy over there and fellow Dobson High School alum, John Holmberg, and do the morning sickness. He does a little hit there. They're right there, little bit down the road here, so he's got to leave at 8:30. Goes on there 9:15, 9:30ish or so for the rest of that show, and has some fun over there. And we allow him to do that, so I'll get you through the rest of the show as well for you. So we were talking Cardinals there at the end of the half there in NFL side of things, and big game against the Jaguars this week, a big game for multiple reasons. To me, the Jaguars are better. Let me put it this way. To me, the Jaguars are playing better than the Cardinals are right now. Cardinals have, if not a little bit better talent, but at least the same type of talent as the Jaguars do right now. In terms of rosters, right, and names on rosters. With the injuries, Cardinals have taken a little bit of a dip compared to the Jaguars. My point in saying that is Cardinals need to be in this game. I'm not saying the Cardinals are going to win it. We'll do our picks like we always do tomorrow. But they need to be in this game. This needs to be a close game. They can't lose this game by 20-something points. They can't give up 44 points in this game either. They just can't. Coaching staff, opinions are going to change even more so on this coaching staff if that's the case coming up. This is an important game for the Cardinals and this coaching staff and the team as a whole. And I agree with Dale. Dale said it, earlier this week. 2 blowout losses. I think they've kind of, when you get procedural penalties, guys moving, at the same time, when you get procedural penalties in terms of those penalties during the game, it's a lack of focus. I actually heard another professional football player. I don't remember where I heard it from. It was a national guy, but he was talking about this in terms of another team, not the Cardinals. And I'm kind of putting it into the Cardinals side. When you start seeing guys not line up properly late in the season, when you start seeing guys I think holding is lazy in my eyes, unless you do it because you get beat and you do it to help out. But you see a lot of holding penalties. You see a lot of penalties that shouldn't be happening at this time frame. To me, that's a lack of focus. And the team is unfocused. That tells me they've tuned out the coaching. Either the coaching staff is not preaching on this stuff, and you heard Drew Penzing yesterday. We harp on it. It ain't working. I wonder if this team has tuned out this coaching staff. Period. End of story. You got to wonder if that's the case. You do. 17 penalties last week. Not any better anytime soon. They're either not focusing on it during the week, which I don't think you can fix these errors during the week or during the year. This is a off-season deal. I told you that theory. Cardinals didn't focus on that stuff this offseason. They didn't focus on the details in the offseason, and it's showing itself during games now. I just sit here and wonder if the team is tuning them out a little bit. This weekend against the Jaguars, a pretty much even team. I will give the Jaguars a nod here because they're healthier. Yeah, Travis Hunter's not going to play, but whatever. But they're healthier. They just coming off a big win against the Chargers, the Jaguars are. They're fighting for a playoff spot. Cardinals are completely out of it, no matter what happens now. And, this is a game that you have to look at and go, these are fairly equal teams. This game better be close. I'm not saying the Cardinals, you should win. You want to win it. I'm not saying the Cardinals have to win this. It would be nice. It would go a long way if you won it. Be competitive in this game. Isn't that sad that that's my expectation now? Dear God, I'm going to this game on Sunday. I want to see Trevor Lawrence. I want to see this Jaguars team play. I was really high on the Jaguars earlier this year. Fallen off of that a little bit since then. You have to show up in this game. And that's sad how that's my expectation level for this Cardinals team. It's not you got to go win. My expectation level on this Cardinals team is, dear God, compete. Compete in this game. Don't be down 14-0. Don't be down 7-0 16 seconds into the game. Don't be down by 24 points here as the first quarter ends. I don't even care about the ending of the game right now. Let's just be competitive. Then we'll worry about the end of the game. That's sad. With 7 games to go, that's your opinion, right? Going into this game this weekend for them, right? We'll talk more about that obviously tomorrow there on our Football Friday. So the way we do it with Lou coming in on Friday at 9, we'll do our football talk on Friday. We'll set up the weekend with, of course, NBA talk and the Sun schedule. They play tomorrow night, Minnesota NBA Cup game, folks. Let's go, baby. Let's go get that cup, baby. Let's do it. Emirates Cup all the way. We'll set up the weekend as well, but then we'll focus heavily on college and, of course, ASU big game this weekend at Colorado as well and everything. So we'll do that in the first half, and then, of course, we'll go and talk NFL with Lou in the second half as well. Kind of a different perspective with Lou than our initial thoughts that we talk about in that first hour as well. So that's how we structure the Friday show with Lou coming in on Friday and everything. And, I said it earlier before the end of the half there. Or the end of the first hour, I should say. NFL's going to go to 18 games. And, everybody kind of gets excited. Ooh, an 18th game for every team, whoa. The 18th game is going to be an international game for every team out there. Period. So every team's going to have to go, I'm not going to say overseas, because you go Mexico City, right? Brazil. Did you consider Brazil if you go, you don't go overseas to Brazil, right? I don't I don't know what the phrasing is. And now the Saints are reportedly sometime in the next couple years out there. Saints are going to go to Paris to play a game now. So this year we got Madrid for the first time. We got Berlin for the first time. Of course, they always go to London, right? And I forget the other place that they went. Drawing a blank. Or they all London games before that. Anyway, doesn't matter. You're going to see 18th games coming up. You're going to see your team going overseas at some point. So brace yourself for that. And it's not like, and this is the other side of it, it's not like your team's going to go to London, which for an East Coast team, that's a fairly easy trip. No different than going from New York to Seattle. That's a long flight by itself, right? New York to LA. That's a long flight by itself. New York, Florida to London, it might be an hour or so longer than those cross-country flights, but that's understandable. I'm talking Paris, which I know Paris isn't that much farther in than London is, but it's still in a little bit more. But, we've already seen Berlin. I know Madrid, it's Spain's right there on the coast as well there in Europe. So it's not that far going in. But you're going to start seeing guys going in more and more. Brazil's a long flight, folks, no matter where you're at. Even from Arizona. Mexico City is a long flight from Arizona to get to Mexico City. You're going to start seeing these teams with an 18th game coming up. You're going to start seeing these teams go farther and farther, I'm going to say inland, right, into Europe here for those 18th games. And then basically, you're going to have 18 games of the NFL played overseas or played in foreign countries, whether it be Brazil, Argentina, whatever, right, Mexico, all the way over to Brazil, Sweden, all of that stuff. That's going to become kind of what NFL Europe used to be. You'll have 18 games a year, at least let's say 17, because you're probably not going to play at your final weekend. You're not going to travel. But you're going to have 16, 17 games a year played outside of the United States for these teams at some point. And it just keeps it from having to, it's just all to grow the sport and make money and stuff like that. So Saints reportedly playing a regular season game in Paris in the next couple years. I firmly believe when you do that, you have to, in my opinion, you need to mandate a bye week the week after that international trade game. And also, I also say 2 bye weeks for every team in the NFL. It's coming our way again as well. That was staple for a while. It's going to come our way again. Because this is what I believe. You should have a bye week the week before a Thursday night game. Then you play Thursday night, and then you get 10 days off till your next game. I think that needs to become a thing because Thursday night football is unwatchable in my eyes. Teams are tired. Their bodies haven't recovered. Injuries galore happen. So you get a bye week the week before. You play Thursday night, obviously 10 days off after that. And then you should mandatory after a European game. You get a bye week. You don't get to choose. You just get a bye week at that time. I think that needs to change as well coming up. The problem that I have with the NFL, it's not the expansion side of it. I would be more upset about it if you took a home game away from every team. Now, Jacksonville's different because Jacksonville's going to be, if they do expand to Europe, Jacksonville's going to be the team that moves to London. Their ownership wants it to happen, the cons, and they're the most, it makes the most sense. But I don't want to see what you kind of see now, right? Cardinals go to Mexico City. If it's their home game, well, we lose a home game here in Arizona. Don't take it away. And I feel the same way about the Super Bowl going overseas. You don't take what we invest in and year out here and take it and move it to somebody else that doesn't invest the same way we do. But it's all about the money, right? Is what we're looking at from that side of things there. So Paris is the next international game coming up here as well. So Robert says, can't wait for Gambler's perspective on the kerfuffle between Makhachev's camp and Dylan Denise as well. Yeah, we'll get his opinion on that. I might have some, some thoughts on that myself. Lou's so funny when it comes to those types of stuff that's happening out there. It's is it? I think I might have mentioned it last week. Isn't it seem like, and I follow the UFC because Luke comes in. I watch it most of the time. I do miss a couple during NFL season. I don't buy the pay-per-views, but I'll watch the early prelims and the prelims. But I'm in no way a UFC expert by any stretch of the imagination. Can't even pronounce the names half the time. I know them. I study them. You guys would be shocked at the prep I go through to get these names right. And then the second Lou's in here and I look at the screen and I see the name and I'm like, so we'll definitely be asking Lou on that. But doesn't it seem like there's a lot of drama around the UFC this year compared to past years? I feel, and I don't even know if drama is the right word, controversy? Doesn't it feel like there's more controversy around the UFC this year? Betting scandals, fighters begging for bonuses. I know that's happened before. Fighters betting for bonuses. Um, you know, fighters missing weight by large margins this year. I know that's happened before, but it just seems like it happens more. Maybe it's just I'm more paying attention to it more. It just seems to me like the UFC is a lot more controversial than it's been in the past, and it's interesting. I don't know. Like I said, it could just be me paying a little bit more attention to it as well, going forward and everything. There's been a lot of talk of Kyler Murray going to the Browns, right? The Browns, like I said, I get it as Browns ownership, and you have to question their decision making. I get it. But any other team out there, let me preface this by saying, you spent all that money on Deshaun Watson, and you go for a mobile, who was a good quarterback early in his career, but obviously he's lost the love of the game, had some off the field stuff, injuries galore, and I'm just convinced he doesn't want to play. He's just collecting his guaranteed money. He doesn't care. That's just my feelings on Deshaun Watson. So they make that move and a mistake. Now they're drafting all these guys out there and everything, and they're just not happy with them, right? Nobody works out for the Browns. Any team that goes through that is going to look at it and go, you know what? We need a prototype. We need a different quarterback in here than what we have. More than a running quarterback, we need a traditional quarterback. And I don't know if that team makes a trade for another quarterback. And I'm gonna compare them, but I don't mean it in terms of off the field stuff. Kyler Murray has way more heart on the football field than Deshaun Watson has. Deshaun Watson lost the will to play football years ago. Kyler Murray still has it. The competitive juices are there. They're different than what you want to see as a competitive person for most of you, but he has those competitive juices still. So I'm not comparing that stuff between the two. I'm talking about the styles, right? Running style. Kyler, at least at one time, had a big arm. For some reason he doesn't have now. Why would you go and make another big move for a guy and trade for him with a large salary and then get caught in that position again if it doesn't work out, right? So I know it's the Browns, and they're probably going to be the team that does that. That's the team I could see trading for Kyler Murray because they just double down on mistakes, right? But anybody else, they're not going to trade for him and everything. And then you look at the Browns even more. Dillon Gabriel, concussion, out this week. They've already ruled Shedeur Sanders the starting quarterback. He's taken no first-team reps over the season. Wasn't even doing practice squad reps at all a few weeks ago either. And he has to go into this game last week. I will say this. As much as I'm not a Shedeur Sanders fan, I just don't think he has talent. I just don't. He's talented, but not in a starting quarterback type of way in the NFL. Let me put it that way. Shedeur Sanders fans, settle down. Settle down a little bit because I'm about to defend your boy. They jump all over you, man, if you talk bad about him. Browns did him a disservice. He's the second quarterback behind Dillon Gabriel, who can go down at any moment with, a concussion. And he hasn't taken any first-team reps. You can rotate those guys. You can get Shedeur Sanders as ready as possible for a game, right? And they didn't do it. They just didn't do it. They left Shedeur Sanders out there to hang. And then when they needed him, he didn't perform. What a shocker. So I will defend Shedeur Sanders on that front. The Browns let him down beyond belief. Beyond belief. Shedeur Sanders gets named the starter this week. He's working with the first teams. I don't think it's going to be any improvement. We'll have to wait and see as well. Shedeur Sanders yesterday on starting for the Browns. Look, this kid has a ton of confidence. I will absolutely defend him on that. Shedeur Sanders yesterday in his press conference.
Yeah, for instance, I know our fans have a lot of expectations and hope. And I would be doing a disservice to myself and disservice to the organization if I didn't feel like I am the guy. I did everything I need to. I'm doing everything I need to prepare to be the best version of myself as possible. With the circumstances, everything got to be sped up, and that's great. You know, I like pressure in life. I'm just excited for everything. So, you know, I feel like I'm the guy. I know I'm the guy, but, you know, you just have to be able to see. The game got to speak.
Let's be clear about it. I am not a Shedeur Sanders fan. Let's be clear about that. People that hate him, are going to say, oh, look at the cockiness on him. Look at the cockiness on him. He stood there at the microphone. Said, and look, I got to get out there and win. I got to go out there. The game's going to speak for itself. I don't know. I liked yesterday's press conference with him. It's not going to help him. He's going to struggle for two reasons. One, second game he's going to be in. Now the other team's going to be game planning for him and everything. Who the Browns have this week? I'll look that up here. They're going to be game planning for him, obviously. They're going to see what was done last week. But a good defensive coordinator in the NFL is going to throw things at him that he's not going to know what to do with. He's going to look at it and go, this is what I should throw it to. And there'll be like four guys standing there waiting for the football coming up. It's going to be an interesting experience. Oh, they have the Raiders this weekend. Hey, he's got a chance. Raiders are god-awful, folks. Have you seen them play at all? God-awful. Shedeur might have a chance to put up some numbers this week. It's just the confidence sometimes on Shedeur Sanders drives me nuts because it's like a you have no idea what's coming confidence, right? But yesterday, he just flat out said it. You heard it at the end there. The game's got to speak for itself. Robert chimes in. Don't forget, 623-252-6670. And then you've got, of course, X as well. At TME Sports Show is where you can hit us up on X as well. And I got confused there because I was clicking on things. And Robert says, I don't see Kyler going any cold weather teams. He says size matters. No, if he becomes a free agent, that's what I'm saying. The way the Browns are going to, if they wanted Kyler Murray, the Browns have to trade for him because they're not getting him in free agency. One, he's not going to want to go there, whether or not. It's a terrible franchise. You don't think Kyler Murray is going to leave the Cardinals when he does go, and he's not going to go, I need to go to an organization that knows what they're doing, please? I'm not going through that again. I believe Kyler's smart enough to know that side of it. But the other reason is, and that's what I'm saying, the Browns could be the team that trades for Kyler Murray because they know they're not going to get him in free agency if he gets cut. It's the only way I see a trade happening. And otherwise, they're going to have to cut him and eat that salary coming up or keep him. And I don't know if the way this has been handled means that Kyler Murray is going to be able to swallow that pill and come back. I was kind of impressed he was on the sideline last weekend. Doesn't that say something? That he was at least there? Because if he was done and checked out, it's easy for the team just to go, hey, don't show up. And he was there anyway. I don't know. Hey, college football stuff out there we'll talk about here as well. Tell you what, let's take our break here for this hour. Come on back. Talk the college football stuff. We got a Bill Belichick situation, man. This guy. James Franklin had his opening press conference yesterday while we were on air. I was monitoring that a little bit. Got some. Got one clip from that, which kind of is interesting. About a minute-long clip. Kenny Dillingham had to talk about the Levitt speculation that came out the other day. I like the way he's handled it. I'm becoming more and more convinced that ASU wants Sam Levitt back, but they're okay if he leaves. I just have a feeling here going on, right? Nobody's told me anything. I just have a feeling. Coming up as well, we got NBA stuff, more on the injuries and stuff that Steve Kerr talked about. We talked about that yesterday. Major League Baseball broadcast deal. You ready to pay for your ESPN app, folks? Come on back. The main event. And we're back here. Main event Thursdays. If you're tuning in right now and you're going, where's Lou at? He'll be here tomorrow at 9 o'clock. I had to push it back a day due to traveling with all the weather. We want to make sure he gets back safely. As well, Dale Hellestree, of course, goes over to KUPD this morning, does his little hit over there. Catch that podcast later on if you'd like as well. But I appreciate you guys joining me here. Going back to the old days of the radio show and doing it by myself and everything. And, it feels weird doing it by myself now. But I enjoyed it. It just it gives me, I enjoy the conversations. That's why we got to the text line of 623-252-6670. That's why we invite you to hit us up on X as well so we can see your posts there and talk about them. I enjoy the conversation side of it. I also enjoy doing my own thing. It's it's a different trait. I know half of the people listening right now are going to be like, but you suck at it. Get Dale back in there. But it's fun to do. I enjoy it from time to time. Some people are deathly afraid to do a show by themselves. Some people just aren't good at it as well, right? So before we get into the college football stuff, let's just switch it up just a hair here. Major League Baseball, they've struck a new 3-year deal, media rights, with ESPN, NBC, and Netflix for next year. So NBC hasn't done Major League Baseball since right about the turn of the century. It was the last time they did it. NBC's getting it back now. I will say this. I'm excited about it. The NBC coverage of National Basketball Association, the NBA, is fantastic. Their camera angles, their pregame, their pregame introductions where they play the home team's hype video before introductions. NBC's doing it right on the basketball side. If they do the same thing with baseball, that's going to be fun to watch because ESPN's coverage, lacking all around, right, in terms of stuff. So NBC gets Sunday Night Baseball now. Of course, ESPN gave up on that this year as well. So NBC is getting that Sunday Night Baseball. So the interesting thing here is, right, ESPN was kind of like, we're done with baseball. We don't want to do Sunday Night Baseball anymore. We'd rather focus on basketball and football. So they kind of gave up on baseball. Well, basically, ESPN's getting the MLB.TV part of Major League Baseball broadcasting. which means teams like your Arizona Diamondbacks. So every year, because I don't have cable, I can't watch the Diamondbacks there, and I don't have an antenna. And I try and I move around a lot, or I'm out on the road, or I'm someplace else, and I want to watch it. So I buy the MLB.TV package. I buy the whole baseball package every year, so I can watch every team because I enjoy watching those East Coast teams like the Yankees, even though I'm not a fan, right? And those teams that start early in the day, and I throw them up on my phone or on my computer while I'm here, things to that effect. But then you have to also can buy just the Diamondbacks package there with MLB TV as well. ESPN's taking that portion over into their new unlimited streaming package. So it'll just be through ESPN now as well coming up. Starting this year, by the way, the deal expires and runs through 2028 season. So it's going to start quickly here. Netflix, well, it's going to stream things like the Home Run Derby. Thank God. I'm going to say this is thank God. ESPN's coverage of the Home Run Derby has been absolute garbage for years now. The fact that the hitters hit a ball, they have the split screen. You don't even see if it goes over the fence. They have to go back to the hitter again because they're hitting so fast. The announcers, it's been terrible. Maybe Netflix can do something worthwhile here with the Home Run Derby and make that fun again to watch. It's hard to watch. It's a hard watch. And it's not because of the players or the home runs. Some people will say you don't get all the home run hitters. It's not even that. It's just the coverage of it. It's quite, frankly, just awful from that side. So, now this is where it gets confusing. Every time they announce this stuff, when WWE moved over to ESPN for their premium events, that happened sooner. It's supposed to happen in January, happened sooner. Just a lot of confusion on that. So, yes, I have to buy the ESPN Unlimited app. So they don't have cable. And they don't have, I have a Cox login I can use, but they don't have a deal with Cox here. So I have to spend the money here on the Unlimited app. So you're going to have to keep doing that if you want to watch the Diamondbacks, and that's how you watched it before. It's still going to be over the air and all of that stuff. It's just if you watch it the way that I watch it, you're going to have to start going through that ESPN app here coming up as well. So, yippee, I guess. I'd rather like Netflix take over all of the broadcast there, MLB TV stuff. That'd be easier to watch than ESPN Unlimited would, to be honest with you. So that's happening in Major League Baseball as well. Zach Gallen did decline his qualifying offer. It had to be due on Friday. He did decline that. It's $22 and some change million. We've talked about that before. So obviously he's a free agent. Diamondbacks, he's not going to come back. That's a pipe dream, folks. Diamondbacks will get some draft picks when he does sign with his new team as well. So that's where we stand in terms of the Diamondback side of the Zach Gallen situation as we keep moving forward here as well. Before we get over to the college football side of things, just really quick on the NFL, I forgot to mention. Cardinals have the Bengals coming up here in a couple weeks in Cincinnati, beginning of December, I believe. Joe Burrow, with his toe injury, he's been out for a long time. He was a full practice participant. He's been practicing with the team for a few weeks. His goal was to come back around Thanksgiving time. He's practicing completely with the Cincinnati Bengals now as well. So it's the first time he's been a full participant since all the way back in week 2 of the season. Joe Burrow's coming back. Joe Burrow's going to be, if he stays healthy, he's going to be here for this Cardinals game at Cincinnati. So for those of you that had W there on the Cardinals in Cincinnati coming up, all right, we'll see coming up here. To me, that's always been an L because of weather, depending on the weather, in Cincinnati, traveling. It's just a lot of things will be stacked against the Cardinals going into that game. Other quarterbacks, Michael Penix Jr., he's out for the year with that knee injury that he had, which means Atlanta's nightmare continues. Kirk Cousins is their quarterback moving forward. I get it. You just hired Raheem Morris. You were high on Raheem Morris. You thought he could do stuff. How Raheem Morris survives this, I don't know. But then again, Atlanta fires him. They're just going to bring in another bad coach. Keep your eye on Matt LaFleur up there in Green Bay. If he is available or going to be available by Green Bay, Atlanta is probably going to make a big move for him. I'm willing to bet from that perspective because Atlanta's got to do something different as well. So so it's official that he's out there as well in terms of the NFL side of things. The big talk around college football right now is Lane Kiffin. Ole Miss, what's he going to do? The coaching hires, other than James Franklin at Virginia Tech, which Virginia Tech hiring somebody isn't going to be held up because of Lane Kiffin, right? Florida obviously is waiting for the answer. LSU's waiting for the answer. Ole Miss is waiting for the answer. And Lane Kiffin leaves Ole Miss for one of those two schools. You're going to see the coaching wave kind of fill in at that point, right? And stuff like that. So everybody's just speculating. Everybody's looking into this. I said yesterday with Dale, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about it tomorrow. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. To me, it comes down to what's Lane Kiffin's drive. If Lane Kiffin is as ambitious as he was early in his career, where he's like, I got to be the best, I've got to go win championships, Lane Kiffin's going to LSU. That's the place you go when you want to go to win championships and get to that championship level. You have the support. You have all of that stuff. You aren't going to challenge for championships as much at Ole Miss. Like this year, he's got a talented team. He could do damage in the playoffs coming up. But it's going to be a blip, and then maybe a semi comeback, and then a blip again, maybe a semi comeback. But you could stay at Ole Miss for a ton of years, win a lot of games there, and be considered a god there, right, as a coaching god at Ole Miss. What do you want to do? That's what, to me, it comes down to. I believe Kiffin still burns for that notoriety. Every coach wants the championship. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he doesn't. Most coaches don't. Kenny Dillingham wants the championship. But every coach also has that thing in their head going, if I go here and we aren't successful, where am I going to end up? What's going to happen to me then? It'll be fascinating to see what Lane Kiffin's decision is. I thought a little bit about it last night. I looked into it as well. I think Lane Kiffin's going to LSU. I do. I think he just has to wait for it to happen. I think the way he's talking, if you've seen any of his press conferences, he's a man that's hemming and hawing about staying at Ole Miss. If Ole Miss was anywhere else, he likes being in Mississippi and coaching there. If Ole Miss was anywhere else in the SEC, he would stay. I think he realizes that Ole Miss is just going to be, he can have a successful career there. He can have a heck of a career there and be very, very, very successful, win a lot of games at Ole Miss. But I think he recognizes it's not the opportunity to step it up a level, which you will get at LSU. Then it's your job to do it. Right, Brian Kelly, who failed at it? Think of all the coaches that were at LSU that are now up on a pedestal because of what they did there before Brian Kelly. Lane Kiffin's not dumb. He has that drive in him. I do believe Lane Kiffin's going to end up at LSU coming up as well. I think it's just a negotiation. The other thing is he's going to wear out his welcome at Ole Miss by not making this decision sooner than later. He's gonna piss people off there as well. So, it's fascinating to watch this go out there. Speaking of other coaches that were hired, of course, one I still question it. I watched the press conference yesterday with James Franklin, and I'm still questioning why Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's pumping a lot of money into their football program as well, right? So he's going to get the support up there. By the way, Robert, don't forget, at TME Sports Show, you can tag us. He says, I hope Kiffin stays in Oxford. He's turning into this generation's Mike Leach. And that's the other side of it. You will lose this version of Lane Kiffin if he goes to LSU. When you get to LSU, pressure's a little bit more. It's ramped up. They expect championships there. It's ramped up. You're not going to be able to be that guy on the field that's kind of ribbing the other players after games, right? Because the players were ribbing them, things to that effect. Things get more polished, The higher you go up in a company, the more polished things get. All of a sudden, you're more quiet in that corporate world because the CEO and everything. Whereas might have been like a fun-loving, joked around a lot earlier in your career, and as you get up to those levels, you have to be more serious, more more tight and your over your throat and everything. So I do believe if he does go, I don't disagree with you. If I was Lane Kiffin, I would probably stay at Oxford as well for that reason. Look how much fun he's having there. You don't have the same amount of fun at LSU as you're having in Mississippi. So that's why I do believe he's going to take that plunge. He's young enough that I could see him saying, I want that challenge again. Yeah, we'll see. Well, I do like your point, Robert, because he is a national treasure right now, which I never thought I'd say about Lane Kiffin. Always kind of had a stick up his, for a lot of years there. Lane Kiffin did as well. Right, James Franklin, Virginia Tech. Let's just play. Here's a part of his press conference I saw yesterday. One of the things that caught my eye, the only one I pulled a clip on, because there's the big one here. Here's James Franklin yesterday being introduced at Virginia Tech.
Into this place more than me and my family. I give you my word on that. Sorry.
He's crying, folks.
Sorry, you're going to find I'm an emotional guy. I don't take things for granted. My wife makes fun of me. We'll be sitting there watching, TV, and a commercial will come on, and she'll look over, and I'm getting emotional about the commercial. She's like, "Are you kidding me right now?" But I just think I don't take this for granted. I don't take my family for granted. I don't take my career for granted. This is all I got. I don't have any other hobbies. My wife says I don't have any other skills. I want to be a great husband. I want to be a great father. I want to be a great football coach and represent this place the right way. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Go Hokies.
This is his opening press conference, folks. At least he didn't go Brian Kelly and change his accent and everything. He got joked up. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. Do this. Text me, 623-252-6670 at TME Sports Show and X. Tell me the last coach that got emotional and choked up in their welcoming press conference. Because I can't think of one. Not even Kenny Dillingham, who came home to Tempe. He didn't even get choked up in it. He was excited. Don't you get excited for your new job? You don't get emotional about it and choke up a little bit. I don't get it. It's going to be fascinating to watch Virginia Tech here and what happens. They're pumping several $100 million into their football program, which you have to do to compete these days, right? NIL, etc. Obviously, that was part of the deal for him to go there. It's not like they signed him and then they went, "Oh, here's the money." I guarantee you that was part of the coach's negotiation of him going there. How much money are you guys putting into this program? How much support am I going to have for the NIL and stuff to that effect? So they could be good. Robert does on Twitter. He didn't tag us on it or anything, but I did see this. Rice Athletics. Students drink free on Saturday. Seriously. They're giving students free beer on Saturday at the Rice football game. Oh, pay attention to the Rice football game this weekend, folks. I agree with Robert. What could possibly go wrong here? What could possibly go wrong at that point? So the other thing in terms of this, and then we'll get to ASU, and they have a big game against Colorado this weekend. Colorado's kind of righted the ship a little bit over the last week or so. They're getting blown out there by Utah, and I forget the other. They lost to West Virginia as well. Their defense was horrendous, right? To the point where Deion wasn't letting players talk to the media and all this other stuff and everything. So there's a big matchup coming up. But before we get to that, We focus a lot on the coaches this year here because of Gannon's demeanor on the microphone and on the sidelines versus Kenny Dillingham's. You know, we've talked about Jordan Ott and his demeanor and his coaching and how everybody's engaged with him right now on top of it. We've talked a little bit about Brett Bannon. I'm not impressed. His players seem to love playing for him. And I know I'm not the only one not impressed with Brett Brennan and his coaching staff down there, but they're winning this year, right? On top of all of that stuff. We talk a lot about that. Thank God Bill Belichick isn't here. Bill Belichick, I left the question in. I'm just going to let it speak for itself. Bill Belichick yesterday, University, North Carolina.
Going back to some of the fluctuating snap counts, do you feel like at all for these players it's hard for them to get into a rhythm and sort of how do you balance, like for example, the running backs with having 4 to 5 guys play every game? Do you feel like it's harder for them to get into a rhythm versus wanting to ride the hot hand?
I don't know. Go ahead, Brian.
Six Super Bowls. I think it's 6. I don't know, whatever the number is. Coaching God before he got to North Carolina. Asked the question of basically, do your running backs, do you have run into some issues with how many running backs you're playing this year during games? Does that affect anything? Oh. And then he's just got that stupid grin on his face afterwards on top of it. Oh, that is a disaster happening there at North Carolina. Good for them. Couldn't have happened to a better school. I don't have anything against North Carolina. I don't know why I said that. Obviously the big talk all week has been after the story broke about Sam Levitt exploring opportunities to move and stuff to that effect. We talked about that yesterday on the program, and I said I understand it. I believe ASU was looking to move on from Sam Levitt because they thought he wouldn't be here after this year. There was the thought going into the season, Sam Levitt, Jordan Tyson were moving on to the NFL. They were going to be good enough, be top draft picks, move on. So I believe they've had a strategy involved, and good teams would have strategies involved. So I don't think it's a shocker now that he's been injured, that I'm not come back, etc. I also don't think it's a coincidence that, Kenny Dillingham started pleading to, businesses and things to support the program and do NIL work, etc., right? And I can tell you this, we have personal experience with ASU. I do, at least. In terms of, I've contacted them for some NIL stuff. Let me check. Nope. Still no return phone calls on some stuff that I was willing to work with people on and get them paid and help out the university. Still no response. I saw on Twitter a couple other people out there saying they've been NIL supporters. They had never been contacted for help and support on the program for their businesses to help out the ASU program. It starts with you guys first. You got to return phone calls and reach out. So I'll start with saying that on that perspective. And going to the airwaves and saying, restaurants, get somebody on your deal. Okay, he said it there. How many restaurant owners are going to see that? You need to have people actively out contacting these restaurants, going into these restaurants, talking to people about it. But I digress. Kenny Dillingham started talking about that, and then all of a sudden the story comes out. Sam Levitt's exploring to leave Arizona State. Obviously, that's a big talking point. Kenny Dillingham did his press conference yesterday. Brian Ward, the defensive coordinator, was asked about it. Obviously, Arroyo, the offensive coordinator, was asked about it. Hines Ward was asked about it as the receivers coach. And then Kenny Dillingham was also asked about it as well. Here's Kenny Dillingham's response yesterday when asked about Sam Levitt's situation.
Yeah, I really don't listen to the outside noise. I just focus on us and our program and what we're doing here. That's kind of my focus with everything. So I'm just focused on, like I said, I thought we had our best Tuesday and Wednesday this week. I'm fired up about it. I'm excited to see if we can go play a 60-minute football game.
Are you going to say anything about Sam Levitt?
I'm focused on Colorado and trying to play our best football game we can possibly play this Saturday. This team still has so much to play for. We're in the hunt. It's November, and we're playing meaningful football with 2 games left. Through all the adversity this team has faced, Like, our games matter with 2 games left. There's not many teams who take the field and their games matter with 2 games left. We're one of those teams. I'm focused on that. No, we're focused on us. Our team, there's so many distractions out there in the world nowadays. We're so focused on us. Like I said, I thought we had our best Tuesday and Wednesday practice all camp. Oh yeah, he's doing great. I mean, on the road to recovery. We've had lots of conversations. I mean, Sam's my guy. I have a great relationship with Sam. Everything I've ever said about him is absolutely true.
How many times did he say, I'm focused on us? I'm focused on us. I'm focused on us. Do you guys remember after the bye week when Sam Levitt was hurt and they had to announce it? Do you guys remember that? And Kenny Dillingham was all over the place going, oh, the speculation online, the made-up lies online about getting hurt playing basketball, the made-up stuff being said about him. He sure did pay a lot of attention to the outside noise in that time frame. He sure did have to address it, even addressed it a week or 2 later. When Sam Levitt came back, he even addressed it then. I look forward to seeing what the speculation is after this game we just had. He paid a lot of attention to that outside noise then. Now Sam Levitt is hurt, and the speculation is he's leaving, and you're only focused on your team? Defending Sam Levitt with the injury, there was a lot of question marks around on the way they handled it, and mocking those of you that said he hurt himself outside of football, and he wasn't hurt. I'm one of them. Watch that TCU game. Tell me where his foot hurt in that game. He was running like a madman in that 4th quarter, like nothing was wrong. Bye week comes and he's out, right? And can't play after that. He's come back, of course, stuff like that. Regardless of all that scenario, the weirdness of it, the way it was handled, the confusion, Kenny Dillingham openly mocked the people that were concerned he got hurt away from the football field and flat out called you guys liars and speculators. You might be liars and speculators. But boy, did Kenny Dillingham certainly cared about the outside noise in that moment, didn't he? He went to that podium so quick to mock you for thinking that. Now, the news comes out, Sam Levitt's shopping someplace else. Now he doesn't want to talk about it. I don't pay attention to outside noise. I don't pay attention to outside noise. I'm focused on us only. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing how we went from defending Sam Levitt to the nth degree, to the point of making fun of the fans, questioning what was happening? And there were things to question in that scenario. They did not handle it right. We've chronicled it here on the program. He was mocking you. He was mocking people that had questions about the way that was handled in that injury. And he paid attention to that noise. Now, Sam Levitt's rumored to leave the program, and you don't want to talk about it? I don't know about you guys, but I can draw a conclusion from this. And, I can hear Bruce Cooper's voice in my ear right now. He joins us every Tuesday, of course, here on the program. I can hear Bruce Cooper right here in my ear right now saying, oh, Steve, you're just reaching again. You're reaching again. You listened to the noise and you were in tune to the noise back when he got hurt because he was your guy. He was your quarterback. You're ignoring the noise now and you don't want to address that noise? Sam Levitt's leaving, folks. It's amazing how fast you focus on yourself when he ain't your guy anymore. And I'm not saying he's not his guy in terms of, friendship or coaching relationship. They'll always have a relationship on that point. I mean, not your guy, and he's shopping around, folks. He's looking at other opportunities. Kenny Dillingham doesn't want to talk about it anymore. He's not focused on the noise anymore, folks, because the noise isn't there that he wants to talk about. He can't defend that. He can't go out there and defend it with him shopping around and looking elsewhere. I do find it interesting how much he was mocking us and everything. We're even questioning the injury of Sam Levitt earlier in the season. And boy, did he pay attention to all of that noise out there and all the speculation. He commented about it 4 or 5 times in press conferences. And now, I'm only focused on us. I'm only focused on us. again, my conclusion, and nope. I mean, I've heard stuff, right? We all have our contacts within the program, etc. I've heard things. I don't necessarily always trust them. You just listen and kind of go, put it in the back of your head. I don't break news here. So I'm not going to break news. I certainly have nothing to break, but I don't break it even if I'm 99% sure of something. I'll bring it up here and say, what if type of situations. But I can draw this conclusion from that. And you guys know I'm a read between the lines kind of guys. And I could be wrong here as well. He's ignoring the noise now because the noise is real. Before he wasn't ignoring it because he wanted to shoot down that narrative. True or not, he wanted to shoot it down. Now, I'm only focused on us because there is no shooting down a narrative when your star quarterback is shopping around to see what else is out there. It's not a negative on Sam Levitt. It's his right. That's the way college football is today. College sports are today. And I'm also not going to blame Kenny Dillingham for not wanting to talk about it because Kenny Dillingham can't come out and say, oh, no, he's not shopping around. He's not staying here. Or he's staying here. Or he's leaving. Or he's shopping around. Kenny Dillingham ain't going to say anything like that. Pay attention to the narratives and what's being defended and what's not, people. Sam Levitt is shopping around. Doesn't mean he's gone. Doesn't mean anything to that effect. Sam Levitt is shopping around. Kenny Dillingham knows he is, obviously. And that's why he wants to ignore the noise and focus on himself. Focus on themselves all of a sudden. Didn't want to do that earlier in the season. But boy, does he. He's dead set on doing it now, right? And that stuff. So, interesting thing here. We'll talk more about the NBA and the injuries tomorrow. We'll push that off to tomorrow as well. But look, we got to give props to Arizona here as we wrap up the show. Of course, the Wildcats men basketball team. They beat UConn Huskies last night. Arizona Wildcats are 4th in the nation in this week's polling. UConn was number 3 there. Of course, Dan Hurley, who does have a lot of passion, but sometimes it crosses the line into just annoying, complaining and everything. He went so far last night that, he said they were punked last night. His team wasn't tough. They weren't. They were allowing players to be physically dominated. He said they weren't helping out their teammates, and even like in dead ball situations, he said like a player would be by themselves, kind of being bullied, and other teammates didn't go to it. So he spoke his mind about that after the game yesterday as well, right? For Dan Hurley and stuff like that. He called out his medical staff. Said we need to get our guys healthy and get them back on the floor. On top of the toughness of his team. And, some people say that's the motivation of the coach. That is Dan Hurley's style, folks. It really is. And what he does there. But it's time, I think if you're not awakened to Arizona basketball this year with Koa Pete and the other fantastic players on this team, this team is fun to watch. I know if you're an Arizona State fan, you don't want to hear that. Per ESPN research, Tommy Lloyd has 8 wins over AP top 5 teams since taking over at Arizona. And he took over this program in 21-22 season. That's the most by any coach in their first 5 career seasons in AP poll history. Now, the interesting thing about this, and then as an ASU guy, this is where my snarks are going to come in. He can beat the top 5 teams in September, October, November. Yet, still can't get there to the championship game, Final Four, and make a run there in the NCAA tournament. Interesting dynamic there. But in all seriousness, I had to do it, folks. But in all seriousness, this Arizona team is special. We talked about it with Bruce Cooper a couple Tuesdays ago. This Arizona basketball team is special. I know, I get it. If you're an ASU fan, you don't want it to see it. You don't want to pay attention to it. It's a team I'd be watching if you're a college basketball fan. Put the hatred aside, swallow the pride, watch it. They've beaten UCLA this year. They just beat UConn last night, top 3. Right? They beat the defending champion, and they were ranked high. I forget what their ranking was at the time, Florida, earlier this year. They're playing a hard schedule. They're fun to watch. Koa Pete is just the most likable kid you will find out there. God, I hope he doesn't lose it. I don't think he will, knowing his family, knowing about his family, I should say. I don't know him, but knowing about his family, knowing people that know the family that have told me about the family, I don't think he'll lose it. but he's just a special kid, and he's somebody to watch out there. So then, of course, you got ASU, right, with Diop there for Arizona State. He's fun to watch as well. It's going to be fun to watch these teams coming through for different reasons, right? One obviously is a lot better than the other one, and to that effect. But, hey, that's the way it is, right? Hey, we'll be back tomorrow, Friday. Appreciate you joining us here on the program as well. And don't forget, read between those lines, folks, when you see coaches and what they want to talk about and what they don't want to talk about. We'll be back tomorrow, Football Friday, to start off the show tomorrow as well. Uncle Lou will be in at 9 for his thing. We'll get Coach Sheehan's segment posted like we always do. Follow us on the YouTube page. Subscribe to that as well. Just search at TME Sports Show. It'll come right up for you. Then, of course, free podcast system as well, on demand here when it gets posted here at Robat TV as well. McCollum on Business coming up at 11 o'clock. Come and join me there, folks, as well, or at least YouTube page as well. We'll see you then. Have a great Thursday. Stay dry out there. Be safe, everybody. See you tomorrow.